Assalamu alaikum, dear participants. Welcome to this session of the 23 Objections series. Remember, in this series, we are summarizing the objections and their responses from Ustaz Javed Ahmad Ghamidi. Today, the topic is splitting of the moon. So the objection that has been raised against him is that most commentators present the splitting of the moon, which took place in the times of the Prophet, as a miracle of Prophet Muhammad, and Ustaz Ghamidi does not accept this as a miracle. While responding to this criticism, he says that as far as the miraculous powers of the Prophet are concerned, he of course acknowledges them, and wherever they are mentioned, for example, there are many instances in Ahadith literature in which some of his miraculous powers are mentioned. There is absolutely no reason to deny them. But as far as the incident of the splitting of the moon is concerned, because of the fact that this incident is mentioned in the Quran itself, and the Quran has presented it not as a miracle of Prophet Muhammad, but in fact as a sign from God in order to corroborate the Day of Judgment. And of course, the reason being that the Arabs would not acknowledge that this world would end one day or it can be recreated. So in order to appease them, in order to convince them, they were shown how the moon once cleft asunder in their times to show that how the Almighty has the power, He has the authority to do such a huge feat. So as far as the Quran is concerned, this incident is mentioned in Surah Qamar, the 54th surah of the Quran, in the following words. You can see them being displayed. So it says, اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر وإن يروا آية يعرضوا ويقولوا سحر مستمر وكذبوا واتبعوا أهواءهم. And the hour which they have been warned of has drawn near, and the moon is cleft asunder. And whatever sign they see, they will only evade it and remark, it is a magic that is being handed down from the past. And they have denied even now and followed their fancies. As far as Hadith literature is concerned, the narratives shall be presented from Al-Jami al-Kamil of Abdullah Azmi, about whom we know that he has compiled this anthology for all Sahih and Hasan Hadith. So the first of these narratives is from Abdullah ibn Masud. He is reported to have said that the moon split into two in the times of the Prophet. At this, he said, bear witness. Another narrative is from Abdullah ibn Masud also. It is stated that the moon split while we were in Mecca. At this, the disbelievers of the Quraysh from Mecca said, this is a spell of magic that Ibn Abi Kabsha has weaved on us. So Ibn Abi Kabsha is also a name by which the Arabs called the Prophet. So look for the travelers who come to you. If they too inform you that they saw what you saw, then it is verified. And if they deny you, then it is false. So everyone who came to them verified what they saw. Another citation of this incident is from Anas bin Malik. He is reported to have said that the people of Mecca asked God's messenger to show them a sign. So he showed them the moon splitting into two, one half on both sides of the Mount of Hira. Abdullah ibn Abbas said, this is another narrative, the moon split in the times of the Prophet. Still another narrative is from Abdullah ibn Umar, and he said that the moon split in the times of the Prophet. At this, he said, bear witness. So we can see that as far as the Quranic verse clearly tells us that this is an incident which has been used by the Quran to corroborate the Day of Judgment, and you can see that the words which are being also displayed, that اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر, and the hour which they have been warned of has drawn near, and the moon is cleft asunder. Which of course means that the hour, which is the hour of judgment, is being talked about. And the verse does not speak of any miracle being shown by the Prophet himself. It is primarily a feat or an incident which took place in the times of Prophet Muhammad as a sign from the Almighty to corroborate the fact that He has the power and the authority to dismantle this world and recreate it. Now, as far as the Hadith literature is concerned, this narrative has been reported by 7 people, and 3 of them are eyewitnesses. So these 7, as you can see, their names are being displayed before you. They are Abdullah ibn Masud, Jubair ibn Mut'im, Huzaifa ibn Yaman, Abdullah ibn Umar, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Abdullah ibn Abbas, and Anas bin Malik, Razillahu ta'ala anhum ajma'een. So all these 7 report this incident. And out of these 7, the first 3 are eyewitnesses to this whole incident. And none of these eyewitnesses say that the moon split as a result of the demand of the mushrikun from the Prophet to corroborate his prophethood. And these 3 are Abdullah ibn Masud, Jubair ibn Mut'im, and Huzaifa ibn Yaman. So the information that can be gathered from all the narratives in this regard is that this incident took place about 5 years before the Hijrah. It was the 14th night of the lunar month. The moon had just arisen when it suddenly split, and its 2 parts were seen on either side of the hill in front. Then after a moment or so, they rejoined. The Prophet at that time was at Mina. He told the people to mark it and be witnesses to it. The disbelievers said that Muhammad had worked magic on them. Therefore, their eyes had been deceived. Other people said, Muhammad could have worked magic on us, but not on all people. Let people from other places also come. We shall ask them if they also witnessed this incident. When the people from other places came, they bore witness that they also had witnessed the same phenomenon. But this view, as we have just seen, is based only on some of these hadith narratives which have been reported from Anas ibn Malik. Apart from him, no other companion has stated this. In fact, according to Ibn Hajar, we can see that he has said that apart from the narration by Anas ibn Malik, in no other narration of this story have I come across the theme that the incident of the splitting of the moon had taken place on the demand of the polytheists. Abu Nu'aym Isfahani has related a hadith on this subject in his Ad-Dalail al-Nubuwah on the authority of Abdullah ibn Abbas also, but it has a weak chain of transmitters, and none of the narratives that have been related with strong chains of transmission in the collections of hadith on the authority of Abdullah ibn Abbas contains any mention of this. So this clearly shows that even these narratives, they are flawed vis-a-vis presenting the fact that it was a miracle shown by the Prophet. Finally, there are 2 criticisms which have been raised by people regarding this incident. In the first place, they say that it is impossible that a great sphere like the moon should split asunder into 2 distinct parts which should get hundreds of miles apart and then rejoin. Secondly, they say if it had so happened, it would have been a well-known event in the world and would have found mention in the books of history and astronomy. Both these criticisms are not correct. As far as the fact is concerned that this is not scientifically possible, well, today, as we have seen, that there are so many things which are being proven wrong by science, and it only maybe needs more time to make us realize that this incident did in fact happen. Secondly, in the histories of Malabar, we find mention of a native ruler who had witnessed this phenomena that night. So as far as the book of astronomy and calendars are concerned, which might have chronicled this event, we must understand that it was just a momentary happening. And we know that such momentary happenings, unless people are alerted that they are bound to happen, unless they are prophesied, of course, no one will take notice of them. It was something that happened as a sign from the Almighty, and it was not a miracle of Prophet Muhammad, as is generally presented, notwithstanding the fact that, of course, this is something which the Prophet could have presented, and he did present many of other incidents in his own times as miracles. But as far as the splitting of the moon is concerned, it was not presented as a miracle of Prophet Muhammad's own messengerhood by the Quran. The Quran has mentioned it clearly as a sign from the Almighty regarding the fact that this world can be destroyed and recreated. Ustaz Javed Ahmad Ghamidi has summed up these arguments in a way that I have just tried to summarize, and also shown that as far as his 2 illustrious predecessors are concerned, Ustaz Amin Hassan Islahi and Ustaz Abul Ala Maududi, both of them regard this incident to be a sign from the Almighty and not a miracle of Prophet Muhammad, although many exegetes of the Quran regard this incident to be a miracle. But The basic thing in this regard is the verdict of the Quran. One question that might arise here is because there are some exegetes of the Quran who say that this splitting of the moon will actually take place on or near the Day of Judgment. The verses that we have cited earlier actually negate this view. When the words of splitting of the moon are cited, the very next verse says, وَإِن يَرَوْا آيَةً يُعْرِضُوا وَيَقُولُوا سِحْرٌ مُسْتَمِرٌ. Whatever sign they will see, they will evade it and they will say that it's magic. So this actually tells us that they already saw the splitting of the moon, because the words are whatever sign they will see. Hence, we cannot imply that these verses actually relate to the Day of Judgment. Finally, let us sum up the view of Ustaz Javed Ahmad Ghamidi. He says that the Quran presents this incident of the splitting of the moon as a sign from the Almighty to corroborate the Day of Judgment. As far as presenting it as a miracle of the Prophet Muhammad is concerned, only the narratives of Anas ibn Malik, who is actually not an eyewitness to that event, depict so. And about him, we know that the narratives are weak, as has been clarified by authorities. As far as those people are concerned, or those Sahaba are concerned, or those companions are concerned who were eyewitnesses to this event, they do not report this to have taken place as a result of the demand of the mushrikun to show them a miracle to corroborate his prophethood. So basically, this was a sign shown by the Almighty to corroborate the coming of the hereafter.